Hightailing across the galaxy, carrying smuggled goods, exploring new sections of space, brokering trade agreements, and rescuing passengers on derelict ships, all while avoiding piracy or the law, depending on your standing, Zia is one of the most cinematic games ever made. It also bears some dated hallmarks of a bygone era. Kickstarted in 2013, Zia is an open-world sandbox game where players race to obtain an adjustable level of fame, aka points, to win the game. With exploration, mission points with randomized objectives, upgradable ships and systems for optional NPC or player versus player combat, it's the closest approximation of open-world video game design I've seen, and is far more in the spirit of the Wild West meets space scallywags of the Firefly TV show than the Firefly board game ever managed to be. But it's also random, so random. Your capabilities on a turn are based largely on up to 4 action markers that have to be armed each turn by spending energy, and those markers are spent on the outfits you put on your ship, a cool tetromino system for assembling guns for combat, engines for movement, and shields for protection. The thing is, when you use an outfit, it comes with a single dice roll, and that roll is your outcome. Roll a 2 with your engine, move 2 spaces. Roll a 10 when you only needed 4, well, you could turn in that completed espionage mission 4 spaces away, but that's wasting a big roll since only minor actions can interrupt movement, so now you're torn if you want to switch gears. And sure, every ship has a default free impulse movement of a few spaces per round, but space is big, and without some big rolls, you're getting nowhere fast. Trying to get the exploration token out of the asteroid belt, potentially leading to a precious fame point? Well, you move onto the space, but passing an orange barrier means you roll a red d20, and on 11 through 20, you're golden, no consequences whatsoever. But on a 1 through 10, you take that number's worth of damage, which 10 damage can be incredibly significant. So you decide to spend more of your precious armed markers to roll for shields, reducing the damage by the number you roll. Needless to say, this results in huge swings with an enormous range of consequences, and this game is full of them. From your ship's basic special abilities to combat to moving across any of the game's numerous border territories, risking damage, accruing tasty bounties other players will hunt you for, or even energy loss, which energy is how you repower your actions. Get stuck with no energy or readied markers, and your turns basically become slow impulse movements towards the nearest planetary surface, where your energy will recharge at the end of the turn. That is, unless another player voluntarily rescues you, transferring you some energy on your location while reaping a point for themselves. The thing is, this smorgasbord of chance outcomes doesn't inherently make it a bad game, just a very unpredictable one. The core strengths of Zia, flying around and participating in adventures in a vast and dangerous universe like you're the frickin' crew of the Bebop, is really damn cool. And sure, if you play carefully, you can usually commit as much as you need to offset the most dangerous outcomes, and death itself is an elimination, just a significant setback. But in spite of loads of really forward-thinking systems in regards to ship customization, outright upgrades to new ships, flexible gameplay lengths, and procedural generation for the maps, missions, and more, Zia feels grounded in the past, where unpredictability and adventure go hand in hand, which is exactly what Zia's expansions try to address, and few expansions have done so much heavy lifting in the modernization department as Embers of a Forsaken Star and the Missions and Powers pack. While the missions half of Missions and Powers simply, though thankfully, adds new mission types increasing the variety of quests in the game, the other half smartly provides new static and reliable ship powers for all existing ships. Maybe not as powerful as rolling a 20 on the original ship powers, but certainly far better than most of the other results. This change alone is huge. A big part of the game's appeal is the unpredictable sandbox, so instead of shackling the world, you empower the player to more confidently react to the chaotic perils of space. And Embers reinforces this approach beautifully. Not only does it add stability to the game through the wonderful central space station Near, acting as the central hub of the galaxy, it introduces purchasable modifications that make your rolls more reliable. Still chancy, but it gives you a much greater feeling of control, like you can interact with the universe on your own terms. Furthermore, in a subtle but brilliant shift, Embers replaces the original exploration tokens, which might have given you a point or a minor bonus, with new tokens conferring a wide range of effects, and more importantly, now 2 tokens earned by a player can be discarded for a point. Again, this emphasizes the sense that you are exploring in a vast and open universe, but you as a player have another and more reliable path to victory. Add in loads more space tiles with interesting intersections of theme and mechanics like gravity wells to a supply and demand system for resources, to overall structural changes like adding surprisingly great solo and 2-player modes that feel organic to the design. Suddenly Xia takes on the shape of a much more modern game. A game that understood its own flaws and limitations, addressing them while at the same time emphasizing the core experience through iteration. Even with the expansions though, Xia Legends of Adrift system still feels at heart like a game born out of an earlier time, and no amount of sculpting will fundamentally change that fact without rebuilding the game from the ground up. The world feels vast, haphazard, dangerous, and a little wonky by nature of the procedural generation. And yeah, slap a reroll or a couple +1s on a single D20 roll and you'll still have some unpredictable results. But the lengths the expansions go to preserve an incredibly rich cinematic and open experience so unique to this game while shaving off its roughest edges is admirable, to say the least. Xia will not be for everybody, and in truth, I don't think it's even for me. I like vast games, but more importantly, I'm a tight systems kind of guy, even at the expense of scope or theme. After a few games, I'm content, but I've enjoyed my time with Xia and can see its appeal. If you're looking for a beautiful, ambitious game of adventure, risk, and discovery, and you don't mind having some old school flavor and a healthy helping of randomness, then the expansions have gone leagues to make this drift system and your tools to navigate it the best they've ever been. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.